this project right from the dynamic, the dynamic, hold on a second. Okay, cool. This is actually created that project right from that dynamic website. I was able to create an image, which I use. We talked about this last week, correct? Yes. So this is the AMI that I'm using for this project. And that's a snapshot of it.
Okay,
cool. So I used that image. I built, when I started, I created the VPC. I kind of like ran the VPC. That was a mistake I made. I ran this VPC and it created a VPC, and then I destroyed it just so I wouldn't have anything going on in my account and all that stuff. So as I was going along, I created the NAT gateway file. Because that VPC was truncated, and then I forgot to run this. I ran this NAT gateway file. So it actually created the resources in my AWS account. It's just that it was throwing this error because it was telling me, if you take a look, it tells me that.
Okay. So this is not really an error. It just means that that argument in Terraform and for the AWS provider has been depreciated. So in the new versions of the AWS provider, they've changed that argument to something else. So the argument VPC true is no longer in the new. So when you see something in yellow like Terraform like that, it will still work, but it's just, I'm telling you that you should update it. So the best way to do it, the best way to change it, I know what it is, but typically for future reference, when you see something like that, all you have to do is just copy that line 3, the AWS_EIP.
Okay.
Paste it in Google. That will take you to the documentation. Then in their documentation, they will have the new, whatever the new argument is that you need to put there. For this one, it just, and if you want, we can go to the documentation real quick and so I can show you. But I'll also tell you what you need to change it to.
You want me to copy the entire line 3, right?
Yeah, you don't have to copy your reference name, because your reference name, which is the one you said EIP for NAT gateway, that is just what you called it. But if you copy that, just that one.
Okay, cool.
That will take you to the documentation.
Okay.
All right. So select that one. Yep. And if you look here, right? So you can see that the simple create EIP, you can see that argument has changed.
This one.
Yeah, right. So that is that's the resource type you are trying to create, right? So you can see under under the argument listed under it, it says domain VPC. So we are calling it VP. Before it used to be VPC true, but now they've changed it to domain VPC. So, and sometimes they would in their documentation, if you look from versions to version, they will tell you what has changed in the new version. Yeah, so that's all you need to do for that, and that one too.
Awesome.
Okay. Did you run your code? Were you able to access your application, or did you think this was what was causing the issue?
No. Like I said, it was running properly. Nothing was wrong with it when I ran it at the time, because I was like doing it, because when you did the project, you did the VPC, you ran it, you left it running, and then you were creating the other resources. I stopped mine just so, because I only wanted to keep all the resources, have them in one place, then run it, take a look, and make sure that, okay, just so I tend to stay away from.
And that is fine. So when you say you stopped your VPC, do you mean that you just ran Terraform destroy when
I destroyed it? That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah. So that is fine too. I didn't want to, when I'm recording the video, I just didn't want to get in the habit of telling you guys to run Terraform destroy after
Right.
each video, right? But you can do that. But the beauty about Terraform is when you run so let's take the two scenarios. In my case, I didn't run Terraform destroy and I created my NAT gateway after I created the VPC, right? So in the next plan, Terraform is just only going to create my NAT gateway and add it to the VPC, right?
Right.
But in your case, when you created your VPC and you destroyed it at the end of your project, which I recommend, I think that's what you guys should do. Next, when you create your NAT gateway, when you run Terraform apply again, Terraform is going to create your VPC, then your NAT gateway.
So that brings me to my next question now. Now, let's say I'm presenting this. Well, if I'm presenting and all that stuff, I'll definitely run Terraform, apply, create all the resources. Is it possible to get to, let's say, jump onto the it's my profile, jump onto the VPC and then run a Terraform apply, be able to run them one at a time, or it will pretty much run all the 38 resources?
So the thing about Terraform is when you have all your Terraform configuration file in the same directory, the way we have it in this project, when you run Terraform apply, it's going to apply all the resources that are in this directory. So it's going to apply every single thing. So there's a command you can use to specifically run a particular resource, but I wouldn't recommend that. So if you are trying to just apply, if you are trying to have all your code ready and you only just, let's say, want to apply just the VPC, then that is what we use the Terraform modules for. So in the Terraform modules project, you will be able to create all these resources using Terraform module. Then you can, if you don't want to run the rest, you can just comment them out on your code, then those won't be applied.
Okay.
But not this way. So the way you are saying, where if you want to apply one resource at a time, that the most efficient way to do that is to use Terraform module.
Module. Okay.
Yeah.
So my other question is, when you get into, let's say you're using Terraform to pretty much create resources at work and all that good stuff. I don't know if you're using it right now. If you are there any form of like challenges that you face, like troubleshooting issues that you get through with when you're using Terraform, or it's just with the code?
You mean challenges when you just modify the code? So there are two things. There are different type of errors you can get. As a matter of fact, we were applying Terraform this week at work,
Okay.
and we were running into some errors where, and all I was just trying to do is add tags. I was only trying to add tags to a certain resource, but there is a transit gateway attachment in AWS. How it works right now is when you are applying tags to it, it would recreate that resource. So normally when you add tags to resource, it shouldn't recreate it, but for this particular one, it would recreate it. But in our environment, we didn't want to recreate it. So that was an issue we were running into. So you'll run into issues like that sometimes when you are applying something.
And how did you solve that?
You just read the same way you are troubleshooting your Terraform projects now, right? It depends on what you are trying to apply. You read the error, whatever the error is saying, you troubleshoot from there. So it's the same exact thing you guys are doing on your project now. Any error you are troubleshooting in your environment will just be based on what you are trying to apply and what the error is telling you. And also, another thing is you will be working. So let's say in your environment, you will have multiple environments, right? At work, you have multiple environment. You might have dev environment, which is where you will first test the code, make sure everything is working there before you guys push it to prod environment and apply it there. So you have plenty of opportunities to practice it in the lower, to apply it in the lower environment and make sure it is working there, because the prod is just a mirror of the lower environment. If it works in the lower environment, it will work in prod as well. So to answer your question, really, it's just based on what you're applying. And just like you are troubleshooting now, it is the same experience you will use when you troubleshoot at work too. So typically what I also do is when I see an error, right? Copy that error from your screen. The good thing is I encourage you guys to use AI. use ChatGPT, use Claude. Those are really good tools that I use for troubleshooting. So if it is typically most of the errors I can read, Terraform is good at telling you what it is and you can read it and be able to know where to look. But in case of some error that you just don't even know where to start, I would copy the exact error, the command I run, the exact error, paste it in ChatGPT, and typically ChatGPT will be able to guide you on where you need to look. So those are the ways I use to troubleshoot at work. If it is something I don't know, yeah.
I think this would be my final question.
That's fine.
Is it, I'm trying to get a sense of like, looking at this project now, it's been done. Once I run it, I'm gonna make sure it's running off for, if I'm able to see, I'm gonna run it now, try to see if I can able to see the website. The question now is, in work environments, well, the thing is, I'm having an interview sometime next week for a job that they're using Terraform and all that stuff.
Oh, perfect.
But on the job description, I don't see Terraform modules. Does that necessarily mean that if they're using Terraform, they might dip into the modules in as much as it's not on the job description?
Yeah, so when they say Terraform, right? Terraform they are saying it as broad. Most likely they will be using Terraform module. So I'll say try to complete that Terraform modules project or try to get a good understanding. I mean, Terraform, really the main thing you have to understand about Terraform module is a way to reuse your code. So this application you are deploying here with this, all your code in the same directory. Let's say you have 10 more applications you need to deploy that are similar to this. The VPC configuration is the same. The NAT gateway configuration is the same and so on, right? So are you going to create 10 different folders with 10 different, all these files in those 10 different repository, right? That is not an efficient way to manage your applications. So Terraform module is good for that, where you will only create your configuration for your VPC, NAT gateway, auto scaling group, and so on in one repository, and all the 10 different applications you are trying to deploy will be pulling from those configuration for the VPC and using it. So I'll say, just because they have Terraform there, they are not going to specify that you have to know Terraform module. So Terraform module is included in them saying you need to have Terraform experience. Most likely, they are going to ask you about Terraform module. I'm very 100% positive about that. And I'm also saying you should go into that interview understanding how to use Terraform module. Because if you've done this, I'm very happy that you did this project first, because I recommend doing this before you do the Terraform module. It's the same thing you'll be doing in Terraform module. It's just a different way of reusing the code for the VPC and the NAT gateway and all these resources. Instead of creating them 10 different times, you can just create them once and you can keep reusing them. Yeah.
Let me try to run this and see.
Yeah, you can run it. Ahmed, did you have a question?
Yes, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. That's why I just put my hands down. But yeah, I have a question though. So the question would be, currently where I work, there is this funny kind of policy in place that they have a NACO policy for SSH that runs every hour. Let's say, I don't know why they are trying to block access to SSH, encouraging session manager, but for what we do, we cannot use session manager because we use firewalls, right? So they have this policy that runs, let's say, every hour. Remember the EC2, what's it called? The Python program that we did that will shut down any port that is open to the world, right? But this time around, this policy for NACOS is using a cron job that goes every 1 hour to set the rule. Let's say every hour, a new rule will come that say, hey, any SSH open to the world or any SSH at all at the NACOS level, not the security group level, at the NACOS level, should be blocked. They deny access to NACOS every hour. And what that means is that the implication is that we have like 40 minutes window. If we manipulate, let's say, the rule is running right now. Before the next hour, we will quickly go and change the rule. Now have access to the instance and do what we want to do. But the next hour, our session will be timed out because there's another rule that is changing it. Anyway, so that is the problem, but it kind of more of a high level decision, right? But it impacts our work and efficiency. So we just got to do what we got to do to meet the deadline. We're just talking about it, but I was like, okay, I didn't make any commitment to the team. I was like, maybe in the back end, I will do a little project based on what you showed us and test and see if we can have our own rule. Let's say every 30 minutes, right? Our rule will be, automatically applying so that whenever their own rules applies, our own will kind of, override theirs. So that way we have less downtime. So that's what I'm thinking. But I was hoping to hear your thought about it. And maybe somebody in the group can help as well.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like if they already have something in place, that is more of like a company policy of how they want to do it. And and it also, the way I get what you are saying, because we do run into those challenges as engineers sometimes where things our company has set up there as a whole is hindering with the work we have to do. So, and you removing something that they've put in there just so you can do your work, it's kind of like counterproductive to, it's not counterproductive to your work, but security wise, it is not encouraged because because if your company has a policy of how things should be done, all engineers should be trying to follow that policy, right? So it sounds like it's more of like an overall experience that you have to bring to your manager and the higher ups and tell them about the issues you guys are having with the reasons why what they have in place is hindering you from doing your work and the best possible way you guys can move forward, and also present your suggestions to them and how you are looking forward to bypassing that issue. And if they are fine with it, yes, then you can implement it. But the reason why I say that is because if this is like I'm not sure what environment it is. If it is a production environment, you are not going to be able to, even if you have access to do stuff like that, it is not really encouraged to make changes to security things that they've already put in place so that you just to be able to get your work done. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So here's one caveat.
Even though you are doing the right thing, it is best to do it with the understanding that everyone is on the same page and agrees with what you are trying to do.
Yeah, but here's one caveat. Although those that are more like higher ups in the team, in terms of my colleagues, they manually just go change the rule, do whatever they want to do, and keep changing it until they're satisfied with their job. But like they manually do it, right? It's more like a manual repetition. Let's say if the rule is 99, they will go change it to 97, right? To override it before the next hour or less. Before the other rule overrides it. So that is what the temporary measure. So technically, that's like a manual effort, right?
Yeah.
So while I was saying this is because instead of us manually doing that, right? Maybe that should be some sort of automation, but I didn't want to propose that because I don't want to get my hands tied up with other things, So that is why it's not like we don't do it, right? Like it's not like we don't override it, we do, but but again, it's just manual and kind of painful to be doing it back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Just a second. Keep that thought. So let me. Your auto scaling group is started.
Yeah, it's telling me about this ignore targets because it says line 39.
Also, ignore targets.
Ignore changes.
I think that one is. Wahab, did you have something to say relating to Ahmed stuff, or is it just the error?
So I made stuff. We can come back to you later. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So life cycle ignore changes. So let me see. Oh, it's saying it's a list, right? Static list expression is required. So I think what it's saying is that needs to be a list. Put a bracket around it and let's see. So around your target group, yeah, put a bracket around it. If not, I'm just save it first. You didn't save your file.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so you can see those ones too is saying the same thing, right? So, so you have to go on the security group.tf, those your CIDR blocks. So based on the question you asked me earlier, you'll probably have this similar issues when you are applying stuff at work. It is the same way you will troubleshoot it. You just look at the error and fix it accordingly. So here it is telling you that if you look inappropriate value for attribute CIDR blocks, list of strings is required. So it's just telling you that a list of string is required. So what you have is a string because it has the quote on it. So you just need to put a bracket around it. So no, you don't need to remove the quotes. So when you have a quote around it, that is already a string. That's what you want. So you see where it says list of strings. So it just meaning that you can have multiple list of strings in there. You can have multiple CIDR blocks in that block.
Hold on.
Yeah. So that's what that is saying.
You probably have to change it in two places. You have it at 26, 28 as well. So scroll up here.
And line 55 as well.
$28, 26. Okay, 28, 26, and then 55 has been changed.
Oh, okay, you changed 55.
Yeah.
All right. Right. Scroll up. There might still be more, not on your code, but in your terminal. Scroll up to the beginning of the plan. Okay, so after you run that, scroll down. Use your key. Yeah, use your key. Scroll up more, a little bit more. Did you? Oh yeah, see line 13. You need to do that one too.
13. Is that 13?
You haven't done 13 because I can write it.
Okay, yes, 13 as well. But it's funny because when I was doing the project, it was just put a double quote around it. Like you said, things might have changed. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it has quotes. I have it in bracket. Are you sure? I think they are in brackets. I think. I'm not sure. But they should be in bracket because those are CIDR blocks, right?
Yeah, because it's in blocks.
Yeah, okay. So it should be. So in your terminal, scroll up. I just want to make sure the other one you had is, okay, scroll up.
21. I've done that.
Scroll up.
It's at 1321.
Yeah, scroll up. You've done that one. I just want to see the first part after you ran that command.
It was 39.
List of expression is required, then you run your Terraform apply. Okay, then you start from 13. Okay, so I don't know if that target group ARN, if that needs to be in a quote or not. The first one you ran, but I'll check for you.
Okay.
That's your auto scaling group file?
Sorry, can you go to the target group error again?
Target group. The one on 39, correct?
No, if you scroll up on your in the terminal.
Okay.
So scroll up here, 39, yeah. So just maybe right click or press it to take you there, yeah.
Yeah, it fixed it. Oh, so if you no, he fixed it. So
you fixed it already? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he fixed it. So that one is good. All right, so you can save your file and run your
98. Okay.
All right, so you're still missing one line, 98. Yeah, save your file.
Will it make sense if he just kind of like put that stuff on autosave?
Yeah, that's fine. The only reason why I don't use autosave on mine is because when I'm working with you guys, I want you guys to see me saving it. But yes, Daniel, you can enable autosave in your Visual Studio Code, so that way, anytime you make changes,
Okay.
it would automatically save your work for you. Or you cannot. Well, what I do a lot is if you press Control S, that will also save it faster for you. Like I said.
Then I was gonna ask something else as well. I noticed when you were doing yours, the font on this side of the code is kind of like huge. And yeah, is there a way to do that?
Press Control plus, Control key and plus.
It will do for everything. I noticed this side on the left side, it was like yours was a little bit smaller, and then the writing here, the code was a little bigger.
I mean, click on it and click on, unless if you change it in your terminal, you can change it in your settings. I think maybe that's what.
Yeah, maybe that's what you did, yes.
Yeah, maybe that's what I did. But now I just do Control plus, Control minus.
Everything's fine now. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Okay, Ahmed. So like we were saying for that stuff, the main thing, even other people at your company going in there and changing it is not really a good practice to do things that way. So I would say that is also an opportunity to improve something in your workflow at work, which is an opportunity for you to show your expertise and present the issues you guys are having when it comes to getting your job done and setting things that they have in place and possibly ways you guys can resolve it. So I think what you guys are doing now is just a temporary fix, things that will fix the issues you have temporarily so you can get your work done. But continuously into the future, you're always going to have that issue. So I think it is something that you guys should address. Well, I know you wanted to say something to it, so you feel free.
I was gonna ask one. I think the environment, just to fully clarify, it's most like if it's a lower region, so maybe a dev or sandbox environment. Because I know definitely production is like production or like pre-production is most likely going to be a no-no. Like I can understand why that rule is there. But I think second is why can't they use session manager? Like I'm not 100% sure why. Because for session manager, you don't need to open SSH. You don't need port 22 open.
Ahmed, why can't you use session manager? Is it that what you are trying to apply is something that is on your local that you're trying to apply?
So session manager, in my understanding, we don't use regular like EC2. We do not use that. We use Firewall. That is like a third-party virtualization tool. And
Firewall?
Firewalls like Palo Alto.
Oh, Palo. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and all stuff like that. Yeah, so it has its own agent that is quite different from EC2.
From EC2, okay.
Yeah.
And I think session managers might only be for
no, we attempted it though, but
we've attempted it. Okay.
Control, yeah.
Yeah. So you should probably I think that is an issue you guys have to discuss as a whole and come up with like a solution on how you guys want to address it moving forward. Because if that is not done, and it doesn't have to be something you can do right now, you can say this is how we are fixing it right now. If you don't want other works to be attached to you right now while you are working on something, it could also be a ticket you create in the backlog. You just create a ticket, put it in the backlog, express what you think should be done and your possible solutions that you thought of, and put it there. And whenever you guys do your sprint planning and all that stuff, it can be something you guys can discuss so it can be worked on in the future. So everything you find is not necessarily like when you find it and you bring it up, you guys must work on it right now. It could be something that can be in the backlog, but I think it's an issue you guys should address. It is not really, especially when you get to the production environment, everyone is not going to be able to go in there and change their own thing as they please. No, that's really not how a production environment should work. Yeah, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you to Aziz, actually. You can go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Morning, man.
I got a question relating to the Ansible project, right?
Okay.
So I was going through the process and stuff like that, you know, and then you set up your SSH keys. But I used a prior key on my web servers, which you know was set at a PEM file, but I see that you used the PPK file when you did the when you went into PuTTY. And so I was wondering, do I have to, you know, terminate them instances and just bring up and do a new key? Or could I use an alternative like Session Manager to go into them as another primary option? Just want to know your thoughts on that.
Okay. So just change your DB instance and just change that T2 micro, DB T2 micro to T3. The AWS no longer provides the T2 anymore.
Okay.
So it'll be in your TFVAS file.
Which one is that?
Go in your variables. You don't have TFVAS in this one. Go in your variables. And go to your load balancer. Your RDS. Your RDS thing. Just type, not that one. Just type, do Control F and type dbt2 micro. db dot right there, line 59.
Okay.
Just change to T3 and you can reapply it. Okay.
It's funny because when I was doing the project, it's funny the dynamic website project. When I was doing it, I got to the point I was like, I see he's using T2. Mine is coming up as T3. What's going on?
Yeah. So sometimes AWS change stuff so fast. If you guys don't see anything on my screen, right? Which is why, again, I'm always emphasizing on it's the concept that you guys should be trying to understand. Because the steps can change from time to time. The values we pick can change. But as long as you understand concept-wise what you are trying to do, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, man, am I going to be paying a lot of money? Because I see this T2, but something might have changed. And, you know, that panic mode, but I was okay. Let me just move along with it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Sean, so let me get it right. So we have our Ansible server, right? That is the server you have to SSH into, right? So you can run your Ansible configuration. So you are saying that for that server, your key that you put in it is a PEM file?
That's correct, yep.
Okay. But yeah, so if your key is a PEM file, you can SSH in it using PowerShell, right?
Yeah, that's an option. Yep. You're right.
Yeah, right. So the PPK format that I uploaded into mine is just because my preference is to use PuTTY.
Okay. That sounds.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
That sounds the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So the main thing you are trying to do is SSH into your EC2 instance, into your Ansible server. So I really don't mind what method you choose. I think I'm stuck on PuTTY because that was the first thing I learned when I was learning cloud, and I just use PuTTY for everything. Although in recent times I started using PowerShell to SSH into my EC2 instance. So for that part, I know a lot of you guys prefer using PowerShell instead of PuTTY. So I only just care that you are using the concept there is just SSH into your EC2 instance. So however way you choose is fine.
There's mobile
As
XCAM.
I, as I was as I was doing the research, I looked at other options that people were doing, and session is session manager like a option as well, or that not an option?
Yeah, it is. So I haven't used Session Manager before. So when you guys use Session Manager, does it bring you to the terminal in the EC2 instance, like when we SSH into our EC2 instance? Is that how that works too?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So at that point, Yashon, once you are in your EC2 instance, right, in your Ansible server, you can run your command from there. So that is fine too.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So the main thing is just getting into that Ansible server. Once you have SSH into it, using whatever method you are in, once you are on that Ansible server, as long as all the configuration, Ansible is installed, your configuration files is there, you can run any command from it to do whatever you need to do.
So in practical, like real world scenario, and like I guess, as a DevOps engineer, are they using SSH? Is that the kind of the method everybody's doing with PuTTY, or how are you seeing it out there in the world?
I've only worked at one company in the past that we used Ansible, and I'll tell you how we did it. And the company that I worked, the company was Capital One. That's when I was saying we had 1,500 servers we had to manage. So how they did it is we actually use SSH. So we would SSH into the Ansible server. But what they did is they had the same key. So they uploaded their key, the same key, the public key to the Ansible server, right? And they stored the private key in a vault. So the engineers just went in the vault, download the private key to their computer, configure it, and we just SSH into it from our local machine, the same way you use PowerShell.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So the same key you are using to SSH now, our admin created the key. The public key is on the Ansible server. For the private key, because that's what you need to SSH into it, they saved the key print in a vault, and every engineer just went to the vault, download the key. You store it in your SSH directory on your local machine, and you just use it to SSH. So that's how they did it. And every 60 days or so, they always rotate the key. So they will add the ticket to the backlog. Someone will work on it, rotate the key, and they'll send the message out on Slack, and you just go back there, download the new key, update your key on your local machine, and you go on from there. So that's the only time I've used Ansible at work, and that was how they did it. So yes, just regular SSH from your computer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed too, yes, like this week about the tags and stuff like that, how it makes more sense and it doesn't get confusing. So I picked up on that too.
Oh,
So
perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So tagging is very big. I know I don't emphasize on it on our project. We just use tag on our project just to be able to name our resources. But at work, it is very big. They will tag the resources based on the department, the cost, who owns the application, the contact for the person. So they will tag it on a wide range of things. And even at my job now, I'm learning that they tag certain resources by the department based on, they have a code for like the cost optimization, right? So when they are the people that are in the finance department and the budgeting department, when they are looking at the AWS bill and what resources is taking, costing more money, they can use the tags to identify those particular resources and see which department those resources belong to. So at work, the tag is a big deal. So it's something you guys don't have to worry about at this stage, because when you start working, your company will have their own tagging policy. There will be a whole documentation. When you are creating resource, these are the tags you should use for it. So, but yes, tagging is very big. And when it comes to Ansible, that is really how you can identify the servers you want to configure. The best way is through the tags. Yeah. Okay. But Titus, did you add a question or were you just trying to chime in on something we were discussing earlier?
No, I was just trying to talk about the issue that Ahmed brought. I was saying that maybe if he tries to investigate a little bit to understand why they have that type of security in their environment, if he goes to documentation or talk to other people so that he really understand what he's dealing with, and then if he can recreate that situation in his own environment at home and then work and make sure he understands well, and then he can go ahead and create his own ticket in the backlog and then keep developing it. And when he feels that he has enough information to kind of like bring that when they kind of like have they are doing some kind of planning or planning on their workload for future projects, then that's something he can talk about, and he will be very knowledgeable about what he's talking at that point, and he can build on that.
Yeah, I agree. So that's the same thing I said, right? And I agree with you too, right? I mean, it's just an opportunity to improve. You don't have to tell them I'm working on it right now. It could definitely be something that keep doing however you are, whatever you guys are doing, as long as if that is allowed, right? Keep doing that. But for the long run, you guys should come up with a solution. And this is one of the things that like our work when you are always looking for ways to improve whatever workflow you guys have. It's not going to always be the best. Some things will be good, some things will need to improve. And that is one of the things they like to see. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Titus, for chiming that in. Yeah, I wasn't gonna like come up with that solution right away, or I may just propose it, but I won't kind of put myself on the forefront about it. But again, I may have to gather more information and see if indeed that will be necessary or not, just so I don't waste my time. Yeah. I will have to gather more information before I proceed. But thank you for that thought. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so Daniel, your application is working. So good. Yeah, so I would say to prepare for your interview next week, make sure you, because you already did the project now, you're able to deploy your application. So the only thing you have to, Terraform module works the same way, right? But the only thing you are learning is how to reuse the code you already wrote to be able to use it as many times as you want. So there's just like one, there is just like a couple of things you have to learn with Terraform module. Your Terraform code is still the same, right? But there are certain minor tweaks you have to make to it to turn it into a module. And those are the things you should just try to understand right before your interview. So we've talked about a Terraform module. If they ask you during the interview, it's just a way to reuse your code. So you can say, if I have a code for an application and I need to deploy 10 similar applications, rather than writing 10 different codes, I can write all my codes in Terraform module. So all the 10 different applications can use that same module, as opposed to writing 10 different configurations for 10 applications. So this explaining something like that in your own way, but you get what I'm saying? Terraform module is just a way to reuse your code. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any question? Okay.
And how do I do this autosave stuff?
You probably have to go in your settings. So click your files, preferences, autosave. Yes, click that autosave. Click the autosave.
Okay.
All right. So try to make some change, like type some comment on line 51. Add the hashtag. Add hashtag after it or something like that. And there you go. Yeah, saving it for you.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, no problem, Dan. Yeah, we have So do you guys have anything else you want to discuss before I read? Okay. So I saw an article on LinkedIn yesterday. Wasn't it? It was like a post of someone was talking about boot camps and things like that, and why you shouldn't pay for boot camps because most boot camps are scam and things like that. And I agree with what everything the guy said, right? Which is one thing I always want to reinforce, and I want to remind you guys of, especially what I'm doing and what we are doing here is, and I will make a video on the post later on this week. The main thing you guys should be focusing on while you are on this journey of learning is building your skills, right? So if anyone is listening, what you should be focusing on is building your skills. So how you fall into the trap of paying thousands of dollars for bootcamp and you don't get nothing back in return is because you are desperate to get a job. And I get it. I was also at a point where I need to change my position and get a job that paid more, right? But how I did that was how I was able to get my opportunity is that I took my time and I developed my skills. I'm telling you, if you have the skills, you'll get a job. I don't care how much they are laying people off in tech. I've left a job before, and within a month, I already had another job. And I've done that, I'll say in my career, I've done that twice, where I've left the company and within a month, I already had another job. And even that month, it was only the interview process that took that long. And how am I able to get job from one company to another is really the skill sets. That's all you need. So I'm saying all that to say, when you guys are learning, or if you are trying to use other people's resource, don't let anyone entice you into guaranteeing you that you are going to get a job, which is what the article was saying, that people always want to guarantee that you're going to get this, you're going to get a job, this and that, which is a way to get you to pay a lot of money for the bootcamp. So I'll say, whatever you are trying to do, you can do it yourself. I'm telling you, I learned cloud on my own. But the only thing I'm offering to you guys now is what I wish I had, which is a mentor. Someone that we can have sessions like this. If you need to understand something, you have general questions, you can ask, right? That we can discuss it, because this is the type of relationship I want to have with you guys, where you guys are asking me meaningful questions and we can discuss it. You can challenge me on some things I've created and we can talk about it. So for those that are listening, that's what you guys should focus on. You are going to do majority of the work. You just need someone that can give you the roadmap and be there to assist you while you are working on that roadmap. So I'll say, when you are learning, focus more on building your skills. The question you should be asking people, anyone you are trying to take their course, is this guaranteed to build my skills? Not, is this guaranteed to get me a job? That getting a job part will fall on you, and it will be based on the amount of work you've put in. If you put in the work, I guarantee that you get a job. I can assure you that. But one thing that is even much better is having the skills. Once you have the skills, man, it is like a lottery ticket, because you can take it anywhere and you'll get a job. Because once you walk into that interview, really, the only thing that is standing between you and getting the job is just how you do in that interview. And what are you going to explain during the interview? It is the things you know. So what I'm saying that to say, focus more on building your skills, not trying to not trying to get someone to guarantee you something. And I would say there's other things I want to say, but I'll let Wahab, you can go. Then yeah, Sean, after Wahab, you can go.
Thanks for actually bringing this up, Aziz. And I think it would help. One thing I would say is we're actually all learning. And I actually like the fact that I think it was Ahmed who spoke a few weeks ago, telling us about he got a new job and all, and it's actually great to see him still join the sessions. And actually, it's not a situation where he got a job and he just left the group sessions. It's very helpful. But one thing I'll say has helped me the most with even getting any boot camp is just learning the fundamentals and actually understanding why we are doing certain things. And it's one thing that even helping people and just explaining things to people is one thing I've noticed is like just the core fundamentals is missing. And two is I think people fall into this trap of just copying and pasting and not understanding why we're doing certain things. It would always help to actually, for example, just even this Terraform code we're looking at now is, what happens when we run Terraform apply? What does Terraform actually do in the backend? Just understanding that alone, you will be able to explain, the full flow of how Terraform works. So I think that's one trap that people fall into is when they get into boot camps, they actually expect the boot camper to teach them or explain to them every single thing, all from, the core concepts to advanced concepts, in which sometimes it's just not feasibly possible, simply because there's just, we're learning how many different tools. It's going to be hard to find a bootcamp that would go into advanced concepts into even just one of these tools. So it's important. I think learning the fundamentals is key. And just understanding why we do certain things, that's one thing that has helped me throughout my whole learning journey.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, exactly. So
Aziz, yeah, maybe for those of us that are listening, I just wanted to chip in this real quick. I think what that person say probably is true, maybe not, but I think boot camps are different. But I always say one thing about your boot camp: it is a good mine, and I guess because of the price, people would think it's just rubbish, right? Because 500 or thereabout, as opposed to those that charge for thousands. But I will tell you this: every other day, I come back to videos, to your Terraform code to pick one or two things every other day, here and there, because those things you have in place is something not any all these bootcamp out there do not have, right? You have a very robust, for instance, CI/CD pipeline that has everything, Terraform code, everything. Some of them are modularized, some of them are not. So there are different flavors to what you've had, and people don't know this actually, but then again, I always tell people it's okay if you do not do all the hands-on, for instance, in your bootcamp. Of course, it's encouraged, right? But some people have different timing and commitments. But the most important thing is to know what we are all doing. Just like he said, fundamentals, right? What are we doing? How does this work? You might end up going to work and not even use, in my own case, for instance, I'm not using Ansible. I'm not even using, but I use GitHub Actions, right? I use Terraform, of course, but that's it, pretty much. I don't use EC2 as a matter of fact. So there is some, tweaks here and there. But again, one fundamental is very important. But yeah, this is your bootcamp. Maybe you don't blow it enough. People don't know this. I'm telling you all. You will come back to this video many years from now if you have a job, and you will still learn one or two things every other day. So I think people don't know your bootcamp enough, and yeah, this is just priceless what you have. Once again, Aziz, I will say this. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's only a matter of time, before people find out. But again, my motivating factor is really not money. I've been blessed, honestly. I have been blessed. So when I put it at a very cheap price, it's really because the other part of it is I care to help you guys. If I calculate the amount I'm charging, the information you are getting from me, it is just I'm putting it out there so that way if I'm taking time away from my family, coming here every Saturday, spending time with you guys, also throughout the week when I consult with people, I want to have something to show for it. along the lines. Couple of years from now, I want to have something to show for it. And also on the flip side of that, it is also an investment you are making in yourself. So if I'm going to take my time to come and talk to you about something, help you reach your goal, I also want you to be serious about it, because I've spoken to, initially when I started, I used to speak to people where they would say, oh, let's schedule a phone call. And sometimes I will consult with people, talk to someone for hours. They will ask questions. But at the end of the day, I found out that those people are the ones that don't even sign up at all. Because again, maybe they are not sure. They might feel the need to do something, but they are not necessarily taking the actions to do it. So I'm showing you guys that what I did to change my life. I've showed you guys what my check used to be, right? Since I've been in this industry, in just a couple of years, I've made over 7 figures. And I've kept most of it. And I was telling Ahmed during one of our one-on-one sessions, right? Pretty much whatever I've made on AWS Node, I haven't spent a dime in it. And how did I get to this point? It is the same exact projects that I'm sharing with you guys. That it was how I started. This is what I did. I don't know Palo Alto. I don't know any of the big tools, but my fundamentals is very solid. I can rely on my fundamentals where if someone is asking me to configure something, I can rely on my foundational knowledge and use that to solve it. So that is why I have my program for cheap, right? I want it to be affordable for everyone. So for 2 things, it is affordable for you, so you don't have to put in a bunch of investments money-wise ahead upfront, where you are just trying something out and you may try it and you may see that, okay, this is not something that is meant for me. So that way you are not out for $4,000 or $5,000. It's only $500 you invest. And that is life. I've invested in things that didn't work, but that is fine. At least I got to try it out and I saw that it is not for me. So that is one thing. So it's just an investment thing that you have to be willing to make in yourself. So I put it out there for this price, mainly to allow you, if money is a hindering factor for you, so that way you still get to see it without the money hindering you from actually doing it. And 2, I didn't pay thousands of dollars when I was learning it, so there's no reason for me to charge you thousands of dollars, right? I look at other people that are just a cloud expert, right? Go on any of their platform just to book a consultation with them, just a 1-hour call. You'll be spending at least $200. Some of them even have a 1-hour call to $500. I'm telling you that I'll give you the exact blueprint that I use to get a job that has allowed me to keep a job and that has allowed me to make 7 figures in this since I've started. And it's not in like 2 years. I've already crossed that part, right? And which is why you guys don't really see me market it a lot. It's just like I just put it out there. I just like with those that wants to try it will try it, and those that don't try it, I know what I have. It's almost like I'm very confident in my product, and it works for those that sign up, and that is fine enough for me. So that's what I'm trying to say is this is exactly what I did. So I'm not trying to show you guys anything else, but I encourage you guys to learn more. Once you have finished your project, go and learn more. Code Cloud is a good platform. Learn from him. Use other resources. But for me, I want you guys to see me as a mentor. I want you guys to see me as someone that makes that possibility, makes that, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone that makes the possibility possible for you. And what I'm trying to say is, you look at me as, oh, he's done it before, so it means this thing is possible. I can do it too. You know, because I didn't come from a tech background. I didn't even go to college when I graduated from high school because I always thought I wasn't a book person. But I'm telling you guys, I'm giving you guys the exact blueprint of what I did. If I send you my resume, for those of you that have sent my resume, you guys see on my resume, it is the same exact thing. It is the same exact thing I'm teaching you guys. I don't have any other, when sometimes they tell you, put all these things on your resume. I don't even have any of the big tools on my resume. I just have the basic things we teaching right there. We're working on, that's what I have on my resume. I wasn't going to tell you guys this, but I guess I will say it now, but then Yashan, you can go, and Wahab, you can go. So recently, I lost one of my job, right? They said that they called me and they said, I had a one-on-one with my manager. Well, they've said, oh yeah, we've seen your YouTube or whatever in the past. We just hope it's not hindering from your work. I said, no, it's not. I meet with my students on weekends. Fine. And I just bought a house, right? I just bought a house. And I'll be very honest with you guys. I bought a house. My mortgage is about $6,000 a month. My wife is pregnant, right? And I'm having my one-on-one with my lead, and my lead and my manager, I'm telling them these things. And they're like, oh yeah, oh, congratulations, this is so good, this and that, that and this. Or just make sure you let HR know so that you can put in your time. They sound very happy for me. Fine. Then all of a sudden, my lead scheduled my one-on-one at 9 a.m. in the morning. He never scheduled my one-on-one at 9 a.m. in the morning. And that's when I should have felt something, but I just think I was like, oh, maybe he just wanted to schedule it very early this time. Then, soon as I was about to join the one-on-one, I saw that the HR lady was on it. It's funny, my wife was sitting next to me because we both start work at the same time. My wife was just coming in. As soon as I was about to click on the link, you know how when you click on the Zoom link, you see all the people on the link. So I saw the HR lady. I was like, man, I told my wife, I was like, I think I'm about to get fired. Then I just joined the meeting and they went into their little spiel about trying to act like they are sad. Imagine getting fired. It's just like they just lay me off. They're like, oh yeah, they cut the budget, this and this, that and that. We don't see the need to have 2 DevOps engineers. We just want to keep one, right? Imagine you hearing this news and you smiling. I was smiling. And why was I smiling? Because I know I am fine, right? So, and that is why I'm saying and the only reason why I'm telling this story is because I keep telling you guys, the only thing you can depend on that you can take is it's almost like a check you can take to the bank is your skills. And that was why I was smiling, because I've already monetized my skills like 2 years ago, starting 2 years ago, right? So I know I was going to be fine. So imagine losing, imagine just buying a house, you have all this mortgage, bills you have to pay. My wife is pregnant, which she needs health insurance, right? And having to lose just the only job, which is why I'm telling you guys here, you guys are my people. When you start, which is why I always say the first step is building your skills. Once you build your skills, it stays with you forever. You can take it to the bank. That is your money, because then you can monetize it in so many different ways. Don't stay loyal to any company, but I'm saying do your job to the best of your ability. Don't cheat, but outside of work, make sure you are doing what you need to do for yourself. But I know I was going to be fine because I've already shared with you guys before. Like in this field, I've already monetized my skills to the point where I was making between, on a small month, maybe 45,000. On a high month, on the highest month, I've made close to 80,000. So I was fine, you know? So why am I saying all this? your skills is what is going to help you. My skills is all I'm using. I'm not smarter than you guys. I'm not anything better than you guys, right? But it's my skills and effort. I don't tell you guys to stay up all night, but I stay up all night. I stay up till like 2, 3 a.m. But I'm saying do whatever works for you. I'm not going to tell you guys because everyone's schedule is different, but do what works better for you. But I'm telling you, the only thing you can count on is your skill sets. That is what is going to allow you to keep moving forward in this industry. So when you guys are learning, focus on your skills. Because if you have that, even if a company tells you this and that, and to tell you guys the thing, since they laid me off, I've gotten 2 jobs. I've gotten 2 offers from a different companies. So, and how did I get those offers? Because of my skills, right? So that is what I wanted to say. Oh, did Yashan leave? Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So just to keep it short, that was kind of like something recently that happened to me, like in the past like 2 months, right? And I was telling you guys that I was going to tell you the story when the time is right, but I'm only telling you the story to say focus on building your skills. When you are done with the AWS Node project, go and look for other project ideas, work on them, continue to build your skills. That is the check you will always take to the bank. And what are the ways I've monetized my skills? I work 9 to 5. I do consulting. I teach other people. And I also post tutorials on YouTube. And that is like 4 different ways I've monetized my skills. And all these 4 different things are bringing me money. And guess what I'm doing? I'm investing the money into the stock market, which is why I'm also sharing with you guys what my watch list looks like, what my portfolio looks like. And as long as you are willing to do that, that's why I'm saying I care. So here, I don't really like to call my program a boot camp. I'm just someone that did something that worked, and I want to share it with everyone that is interested in changing their future, because I understand how it is to not be living from check to check to actually being financially stable. I think I'm on my way there, right? And the only thing that is different from then and now is the fact that I built my skills. I learned new skills that is in demand, and I was able to monetize it to make more money. And when I made the money, rather than buying expensive luxury items, I invested it into other things that made more money from me. So that's what I'm sorry that I went is kind of like a long-winded thing, but that's just what I want to say. Yeah, Sean, go ahead. Then Wahab, you can go after him.
Wow, it took the breath out of me. Sorry that happened to you, man. But
Oh, it's okay. Please.
yeah. You're such a good guy, man. I mean, but you put forth a good product, so the world is gonna, you'll get back the good results behind it. So going back to what you were saying about boot camps, do you think that there's a stigma out there on boot camps why people are starting to feel that way? That's question 1. And 2, I remember you said something a couple weeks ago about you don't recommend putting boot camps on your resume. So like, I'm guessing, how would you think about leveraging like a boot camp, like far as like promoting it and marketing as like the skills that you're learning to drive you closer to getting a job? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Okay. So what was your first question? I had it, I forgot, I should have written down. I know you said something about.
So like what I was saying, like you know how there's a lot of hype now about
Oh yeah, you stigma around boot camps.
yeah.
Okay. So yes, I think there's a stigma around boot camps, and it should be that way. And I feel like people should be more skeptical before joining. It's a good thing, because there are a lot of boot camps out there that are just in need for the money, not necessarily helping you guys achieve the goal. So when you guys are joining a boot camp, the only guarantee the bootcamp should be making to you, which what you should be interested in, is that you will learn the skills that the bootcamp is teaching, not looking to the bootcamp to guarantee you that you're going to get a job. There are jobs out there. Like I told you guys, I lost a job. I got two within a matter of a month. 2 more offers. I just made it to the interview, spoke to them, they liked me. Oh, you're moving on to the next interview, they'll hire. So there's a stigma around bootcamp, and I think people should feel that way. So there's someone in our program now. When I was speaking to her, she came from a bootcamp where she paid thousands of dollars, right? Probably like 3,000-4,000, right? And she was telling me that the guy that sold the bootcamp to her, the guy that was marketing the bootcamp that was going to teach, wasn't even the one teaching it. It was another guy that was in India that was teaching it. And most times they would have like connection issues where there was lag, they couldn't really hear. And it was like a 3-hour class, and there was just that connection issue. And she said there was a time where he reached out to the guy. The guy said he was on vacation, that it will get back to her when he gets back, which took weeks, you know. So I think stuff like that leaves bad taste in people's mouth when you are running a boot camp, and first of all, you are not the one teaching it. And two, and I'll tell you guys, for those listening, sometimes we are to blame. And I'll say we, me, you, we are to blame, because don't look for shortcuts and don't look for someone to make guarantees to you. Just be willing to do the work, and you just need someone to show you a good roadmap of what to learn and things to learn. So sometimes we are to blame. Many times I'll get email and someone will ask me, what is your class a Zoom class where you have to teach me? And I always say, no, my class is not a Zoom class. It's a self-paced course. I'll show you the roadmap. You have to start learning the things. Then once you start learning, challenge me on certain things, ask some questions, and we'll go from there. That is the best way you can learn. Because if you are expecting to sit in a Zoom class for 3 hours and someone is just throwing information at you, especially it's an information you haven't heard of before, right? How many of those information do you think is going to stick in that 3 hours? Then on top of that, you go home, you don't practice anything. The only thing is you come back to the next Zoom class and you do the same thing. You are not going to get in the cloud industry that way. You are not going to build your skills that way. And so it will look like the bootcamp is not really doing anything. So I think it's like a 50-50 thing. People should be skeptical before they join a program, but also you as well, we as people, when we are joining a program, we should be joining with the mindset, exactly what Wahab said, is more than follow along, copy paste. You have to understand what we are doing and why we are doing it. So that is what I'll say about people being skeptical about bootcamp, and it's right that they feel that way. And two, for your second question, I'll say, since you can put bootcamp on your resume, I told you guys how I got my first job is I had my last field, I created a company where I was teaching people, and I created my website. I managed my website in AWS, and the reference architecture, all the things I did to manage our website, I put it as a job experience, and that was what I presented. And that was how I got my first opportunity. So you may have to get creative with it. And for some of you guys, if you have skills that are relating to IT, you can leverage some of your cloud experience in there. Because really, when they call for job verification, they don't call to say, oh, what type of work did this person do? They'll just call, oh, did this person work for you? Would you recommend them for a job? And that's really all the check they do. Sometimes they don't even do that much, right? So I'm not saying lie on your resume. So don't lie about your skill sets, because if you can work on Ansible, Terraform, any of these projects, you can work on it, right? You have the skills. But I'm saying It doesn't matter whether you did it for a company either or it's a project you did. Like someone like Wahab now, he understands a lot. And I'm very confident that he's more than job ready. He knows more than other people that I know that even has job right now. So I really don't care whether the experience you gained it from a company or you gain it from project. If you know it, you know it. So what I would say is if you see that some companies are not really giving you chance because of they tend to want to look down on the fact that you did project, then I'm saying like tailor your resume in a way that makes it look attractive. And for me, I created the website, I managed it for about 4 months, and that was what I presented on my resume. So that's what I'll say. So since you can't put the bootcamp on your resume, you just get creative with how you present your experience to them. Go ahead.
Not what I was gonna say is that do you like so like do you think like the industry kind of like so now like a lot of people been displaced out of jobs, right? So like there's a lot of people that have higher experience levels, but you also got a lot of people that's trying to enter the field, and you also got people that are changing jobs. So the industry and it is really it's changed in the last 3 to 5 years. Prior, COVID hit and all that. And so do you believe that when HR or hiring managers or lead engineers view a resume, um, they they they're not looking at people that like have boot camps, like kind of like the top thing, or projects as the top thing. So like maybe like you said, the practical, like maybe building something and having it hosting is more powerful than, let's say you was a manager over something like, you wasn't doing IT work, but maybe you were doing auditing or something like that. So like, how do you think the mindset, as you've been an engineer, how do you think other engineers are looking at that? Like, are boot camps as powerful as, degrees, or are like boot camps more powerful than, I guess experience rules all, but like, so how do you think they're looking at that and viewing that, or how would you look at it and view it?
I look at it from a standpoint of I don't really care whether someone did a boot camp or had many years of experience. I care that once you walk in the interview, the things you say and ask you about it, you can speak on it, right? That's what I care about. And I think that is how companies should look at it, because even one of the interviews I had, they said, just be prepared to speak about the experience you've listed on your resume. And that is how it should be. If you've listed something on your resume, that is what they should be interviewing you on, because that is what they saw before they invited you to the interview. So some recruiters look down on people that are in boot camps, and I've seen a lot of company. One of the companies I work for, every time I've told you guys, whenever people are starting, they'll be introducing themselves and they'll say, oh yeah, I just finished a boot camp. So there's still a lot of companies that hires people that are from boot camp. But I'm just saying, like, to give yourself the best chance, I wouldn't put the boot camp on my resume. I'll just tailor my skills in a way that look like job experience. That's what I would do. And another thing is, we also discussed this previously, like let's try to tailor our resume to the job description. Now we have different tools out there that can allow us to do that easily, right? Instead of using one resume for all jobs, read the job description, make sure you can do majority of the things in it. Then you can use AI tools to easily tailor your resume to those job description, right? Maybe that will also give you a good chance of being noticed by the recruiter. So when it comes to the company, it just depends. You never really know what you are going to get. You might get companies that are willing to take chance on people that are entry level, and you might also get some companies that are not. So it's just a mixture of both. So you just also have to just get creative with how you are presenting yourself.
Aziz?
Thank you.
Sorry, I know some people have to go ahead then. Wahab, you are next after Titus, then Daniel, you can go after Wahab.
Yeah, I have, so the question I have is, what are your thoughts and opinions about certifications? And how they would help. Because the way I look at certifications is I just look at it as something that would just help with getting my resume up in front of the hiring manager. I don't look at it as something that would validate that I can I don't look at it as something that 100% validate that I can do the job. I just look at it as something that, okay, you know what, when it comes to that process where um, resumes are being selected, I can say, okay, you know what, this user has the AWS solutions architect certification. So I won't say they know about AWS, but they actually have an idea simply because they've had to go through the console, they've had to do certain things to achieve that. But what are your thoughts on how maybe getting a certification will help? And, maybe if you have any strategies on how to approach, what certifications to get.
Okay. Yes. So I recommend getting certifications, right? And to answer your question, the certifications to get as a beginner is the cloud practitioner and the solutions architect. Don't do any other certifications after that. But you do the other ones as you advance in your field and you now seeing which areas you want to specialize in, then you can go towards those areas. But to start out as a beginner, get the cloud practitioner and solutions architect certification. Those are important. But I'm not even going to say get the certification immediately. I would say take the cloud practitioner course and take the solutions architect course, right? Because the reason why those are important is because if you are brand new to AWS, those are the courses that would teach you about what cloud is, what AWS is, what services they offer, and what those services are used for. I don't think of any other thing. Don't let anyone in a boot camp tell you that they will teach you other stuff. It's a lie. You have to be able to, the good thing is there's a good cloud practitioner course on Udemy, solutions architect course on Udemy that you can take just to get you to understand just what AWS is all about. Then once you have finished those courses, the reason why I would say you can hold off on the solutions architect certification, but for the cloud practitioner, try to do that one. I remember the first time I took the cloud practitioner course and finished it and went for the certification. It was the easiest of them all. I passed the certification, and that just gave me the sense of confidence, and it gave me that boost that I felt like I can do it. And I just used that excitement to learn the solutions architect, and I went to take the certification after that. So I would say take the certification for two reasons, because it will help you learn the basics of the cloud from a concept standpoint that would also help you speak during your interview, because a lot of those things you can use it to speak during your interview. It exposes you to a wide range of services that are covered in those courses that you can speak during your interview, speak about during your interview. So that's one of the reasons why I'll say to get it. As a beginner, it is necessary. You cannot start my hands-on project without completing those courses, because you're not going to understand anything. So it is very important there. And two, for the reasons you said, wow, it helps you look attractive in front of a company, because sometimes certification is a requirement for you to work in that position. It is not, for some company, it is a requirement, especially if you are getting a job with you're going to be working on a project that's with the government. Certification is a requirement. So when you get the certification, it will look good on your resume, because then they will look at, oh, this person has a certification, so they know what they are talking about, right? It makes you look credible, because certification from AWS, Google, or Azure it is a credible certification. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They are not going to teach you. I don't want to sit there and tell you what EC2 is. but I want to direct you to a course that you can watch to learn all these things. What is EC2? What is S3? You just come back to me and I'll show you how you can use all those resources to build scalable application in the cloud, right? So don't let someone that is trying to teach you in a bootcamp tell you that they're going to teach you about EC2, S3, and all these core services. So yes, to answer your question, Wahab, certification is good to get. And as a beginner, I will only recommend the cloud practitioner and the solutions architect. As you get more advanced, you can now pick the other certification in the areas you want to focus on. So yes, they are good. Get them. As a beginner, only solutions architect and cloud practitioner. That's the one I'll focus on. And they are good because it looks good to the recruiter. And two, it could also be a requirement on the job you are trying to apply to. And by you having it, you already meet that requirement.
Okay, thanks for the response.
No problem. Titus, were you saying something?
Yeah, I was just trying to add that I don't know if other people have been able to realize this as well. Like, there are a lot of times that a certain job comes up on LinkedIn and a recruiter reaches out to you about the position, and they don't give you no information about what the job description for that position looks like. They just want you to be able to talk about your skill set or talk about some of the things that you do, and then they should be able to see if you align or not. So that's something I've seen a lot. I don't know if other people have seen that, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also a good thing. So sometimes when the recruiter reach out to you, yeah, I've seen that. Most time when recruiters reach out to you, because you have to think about it, recruiters are not technical people as well. So if you start speaking about a bunch of technical things to them, they don't understand. So what most of the time what they do is the hiring manager may have given them, even if they're asking you technical question, the hiring manager may have given them the questions to ask and what the answer should sound like. And that is all they are looking at on their end. They are not technical people. And if you start going in technical details, they don't understand. So sometimes a recruiter that has experience will just get you to talk about your experience and see how it aligns with the position before they send your resume to the hiring manager. And that is fine.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Daniel, go ahead.
Okay. I've got 3 questions.
Okay.
The last time we talked about the fact that I'm coming from a SQL background. There could be more, opportunities backed up with the cloud. Part of the reason why I got this interview, it's because they need someone that has like a SQL background, can write codes and all that stuff on top of the cloud stuff. And you said you were going to reach out to one of your colleagues just so me and him we'll talk about like what are the opportunities, the possibilities, because like I said the last time, I'm trying to stay away from all this writing too much code. It's a lot of headache, but I mean, I can leverage that now, and be able to draw more opportunities close to me. So just a reminder on that, just so you don't, I know there's a lot of stuff going on with you.
Okay.
Just so you don't
Yeah, sure.
and,
Thanks for reminding me. Okay.
You can reach out to him. And then at the end of the day, once I'm done with all of this, to be very honest, like I said, I'm moving away from analytics and all that stuff. I'm trying to get into, I see myself getting into cloud security, like getting a specialty. In the future, are you planning to create like a course or something on the security aspect, getting specialized, or would you recommend something along the line, just so we stay relevant in what we're doing? When you're doing something and you're thinking of something else, it makes you stay focused, and it makes you know that, hey, there's always bigger things ahead. So that's kind of like my second question. And then the final one, this bucket that I created for this Terraform project, I don't know how much I'll get charged if it sits there, in terms of like, because I've destroyed everything now. Do I need to let it stay? How much do I get charged when a bucket is sitting there?
That bucket is free. Don't delete it.
Okay.
So some of these things, right? And sometimes if you have doubts about something, look in the AWS documentation, right? So for S3, right, you have to put so much stuff in it. So one of the ways AWS charge you is like what you are storing in your bucket, right? And I don't think they charge you for data coming in, but they charge you for data going out. But I have to look in their documentation. So they charge you for what amount of stuff you are storing. And anytime you download something from your bucket, they charge you for that, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So you have to have like what's the, I mean,
Petabytes of data.
yes, you have to be doing that on like a daily basis or minute basis for you to see any type of charge. So
Well,
S3 is a service that is super, 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 super cheap.
It's very cheap. Very cheap. It's too cheap.
Yeah, I have tons of stuff in my S3 bucket that I haven't even paid a dime for. So
okay, well,
don't worry
pretty
about
good.
that. Yeah. So to answer your security questions, I really don't have, because we have enough project as it is, and I want to put my project to focus on the foundational skills you guys need, which are required to get a job as a cloud engineer, which even I'm always updating those courses, and updating those courses takes time. So I really don't want to add more to it in the future.
Okay.
For the core things you guys are learning, I really don't want to add anything to it. I want it to, because it's a good foundational, and I think it's the best foundational skills you need, right? But we just did like a project the other day that is more of like a security thing, which is what Ahmed was talking about earlier. I can send you the link to that project. It was where we write a simple script that scanned our AWS environment, and it was hooked up to a Lambda function that was based on if someone launched an EC2 instance that SSH is open to the world, the Lambda function would get triggered and the script will run and it would terminate that EC2 instance. That is kind of like a security thing we did, right? So when it comes to doing cloud security, I feel like any of you guys can go and do cloud security with your cloud engineering and DevOps skills. All the skills you are learning, Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, AWS service, those are transferable to cloud security. So when it comes to cloud security, you may have to learn one or two tools. Like Ahmed mentioned that they are using Palo Alto in their environment. So that's just something you would have to learn, whatever security tool they are using. But in terms of cloud, there isn't like a specific security project you can do. If you have a good, solid cloud and DevOps skills, they are transferable to cloud security. You just have to learn whatever security tool your company is using, and you'll be good. And you will learn that on top of the cloud knowledge you already have. So
I put a link in the chat. Sorry, I put a link in the chat. So this is AWS workshops. I use it a lot to learn. It's just basically learn by doing. It's a workshop type of learning. What you can do is you can filter by, for example, you can filter by security and just go through different levels, and any interesting projects you find, you can do it.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to chip into as this statement. I think in AWS, or my opinion, in any cloud platform, literally anything security technically is managed. The heavy overload is managed by AWS, right? Based on the shared responsibility model. However, in terms of security that we as cloud might be directly concerned with, is more like networking, right? Meaning what is happening in our environment, in our cloud environment. Our ports open? Are they not open? Who have access? Who do not have access? How can we set more like monitoring? So those are like the aspect of security. So it's more like a network team. It's kind of intertwined though. So if you're looking for cloud security, do not just see it as if we are just doing something special. It's just more like a mixture of network security and more like checking everything is in order kind of thing. But yeah, and it also has to do with I think there are some cloud like AWS now. I know they have their own firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and all this stuff. So those are network at the same time security. So I think it's safe to say network security. That is the right way to put it.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hi, Aziz.
Hey,
Yeah, when it comes to security, I think the way AWS is going these days, security is going to be very, very essential. It's very, very essential because they want you, if you want to go into security, it has to do with when you're into DevOps, they want you to secure every layer
Mhm.
of the every layer in the cloud. So that's where the security comes in. So security is just like when you are trying to create IMA user, probably you are the security in that department, you understand? So people are coming in, you create IM user for them. You try to see who is not trying to delete something or who is trying to tamper with anything. So that's where security comes in. So like if you want to go to that's what they call, I think, DevSec up or something.
DevSecOps,
Yes.
yeah.
So security is still okay as well if you want to go to security, but you have to, as I said earlier on, you have to learn with native, you have to learn some things when it comes to admin and all that. So it's still
Right.
a nice course if you want to go to security.
Yeah, I agree. So I think if you have, I definitely agree. I think if you have a general knowledge of AWS in general, some of the services, right? And understanding how you can keep each of those services secure, how you can secure them, you are well on your way. And like I said, sometimes with security for your company, they may also be using some third-party tools as well, which based on your company, you just have to learn whatever they are using. There's different security tools out there. But generally speaking, your cloud experience counts as you are already halfway there towards doing cloud security. And I like this workshop that Wahab just sent, right? So this is the AWS workshop, and it's a security workshop, and there are like different things in here you can get started with just to play with. So I'm saying, in addition to what I'm showing you guys, once you guys get your foundational knowledge, you would have to be proactive and work on things like this to enhance your knowledge. Really being able to just go in the documentation, find things and work on it, that is more of how your day-to-day is going to be. Your day-to-day is going to be centered around you just having the ability to do research, find information, and execute on them. And I think working on things like this helps you get in that habit. I thought someone else had their hand. Wahab, was it you? Was someone else? But not Wahab. I mean Ahmed. Or Titus is one of you guys. But I know Ahmed already spoke, so I don't know if you still have a question, Ahmed.
No. Sorry, I just dropped it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think Jamaica, maybe she's gone or something.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Shamika. Yeah, I'm first time dad, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions?
Sorry,
All
is the
right.
workshop free?
Let's click on it and see.
I mean, it will tell you what to do, but the resources won't be free in AWS.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I
Yeah.
mean, some of them are like 1, 2 hours. Most likely you get charged minimal stuff, minimal fees. But there was one that's actually similar to what we had done previously. I think as you were on it, the automates deployments for automate using Lambda. So if you go back,
Okay.
no, if you scroll down. Yeah, automating incident response workshop. So
Exactly. Yeah.
this is similar to what we did that time when we hook that code up with Lambda. So maybe click X at it. Let me see what it is. Yeah, it's probably something along the lines of sending an email after. Yeah.
Say detect response. Here they are using the next thing. So that's one thing I find with security. Security pays a lot and is also a fun field to be in. But I'm saying that you guys having just this knowledge in the cloud, Terraform, Docker, Ansible, and all these things, they help. Because by the time you go to, for example, configuring stuff like this, you can always rely on those knowledge to help you get through a project like this. So I'll say the first thing about understanding the first thing about doing cloud security is you have to understand the services and how to configure those services and the best way to secure them. So everything you are doing now is only going to lead to the cloud security if that's where you are trying to go to. So yeah, I'll send you the link, Daniel, for that project. You can just check it out and see if you are interested in it.
Then also, I
I
think you need
definitely will.
something in cybersecurity if you're going to security as well.
What did you say, Lucy?
Hello?
No.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
So
Yeah,
yeah, I
what I
can
was
hear
saying
you.
is that if you want to go into security again, you need to have an knowledge in cybersecurity as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yes, but if you are trying to do cloud security, when I did cybersecurity briefly when I was with Deloitte, and they put me on a project where it was more cybersecurity. And really, this NIST framework is just like there's just a publications, different frameworks you have to understand. So I think if you understand a lot of those things, it will help you in your position. But then cybersecurity and cloud security just also depend on which one you are trying to do, because there's different aspect of it. Because when I was doing on that project, the cybersecurity project, all I was doing was just baseline. It was all documentation. There was nothing technical. I didn't have to implement anything. There was a different team that did all that stuff. So, but I'm saying, like, if you are trying to do cloud security, start with just what you are doing now. Understanding all these things will help you.
And Fisa, on that topic alone, let's say you on like a lot of these, like, have you ever heard of like Try Hack Me and like Cloud Guru? I know you heard about Cloud Guru.
Yeah, but I used Cloud Guru. That was what I used when I was many years ago when I was starting up. Yeah.
Yeah, and like and INE, a lot of them platforms have like a
Oh,
focus cyber.
that is true. That is true. Yeah. That is true. So yes, Ahmed, you might want to check, no, Ahmed, Daniel, you might want to check how they Cloud Grow. I forgot, but they've sold their company now. So I think now it's under, what's it?
It's a foresight.
Pluralsight, yeah. So check out them. Yes, I know back then they had roadmap for different things you were trying to specialize in. So let's say you're trying to specialize in cloud security, they will have the roadmap of courses you need to take to get you there. So the only thing about them is going to be more cost-based. They don't really focus more on they don't focus on hands-on projects like with the way we do here. They might have some demos within the courses, but it's more like kind of like cost-based.
They actually now, I got the platform. They actually now got a lot of hands-on, like they got this feature in it, and it's like it launches a lab and you walk through the lab. Like
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't always recommend, well, do it. I'm not saying I don't recommend it, but I necessarily don't like an environment that spins up the sandbox environment for you where everything is already configured. Imagine if I was teaching you Terraform and you have to write your Terraform, all you have to do is write your Terraform code. You didn't have to install Git, you didn't have to install Terraform, you didn't have to set up your SSH key and all that stuff. You understand what I mean? So sometimes when the sandbox environment is created for you, that is good. So I'm not discouraging you guys from learning it, but I'm also saying maybe you can take that same project completely, but try to deploy the same exact thing in your environment, because you really learn a lot by setting everything up yourself. Because at work, you'll be setting everything up yourself. There won't be a sandbox environment. When you get your laptop, it will be empty. You would have to install Git, Terraform, Docker, any other tools that are needed, Visual Studio Code, all that stuff, you would have to install it yourself. So I like the sandbox environment. They are good for understanding something, but for my own personal preference, I prefer to do everything on my own.
Yeah, I think there's a benefit in both because, like, from the standpoint of like when the sandbox comes up, you're not charged or anything. So that pressure of like you trying
That
to
is true. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you're right. That is true. There was one that was out back when I was learning. I think that one was by AWS, and I can't remember the name. It was kind of like the same thing. It's like you pick a topic you want to learn, you start the sandbox environment, and you just follow along with whatever they are doing. So that one was also good, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah, Cold Cloud has one the same thing too now. Where
Oh,
they
okay.
do
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's different ways. So, Daniel, check out the A Cloud Guru. Their security roadmap might work. Someone asked, Shamika said, what am I having? I'm having a boy. Okay. So that is it. So the main thing of everything I said, which is what I'm always reminding you guys of, as also a reminder today, the check that you have that you can take to the bank that will always turn to money for you is the skill sets. Don't prioritize anything over your skill sets. Continue to develop your skill sets, learn to understand. When you are working on your project, focus more on comprehending what you are doing as opposed to just trying to get through the project and completing the project. That is what is going to help you when you start working. So that's what I'll say. Focus on your skill sets, build your skill sets, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about if I'm telling you there are jobs out there. So there are jobs out there. How you get those jobs is just building your skill sets, really. Like I said, when I was getting laid off, I was smiling. Because I know I have the skill set and I was going to get another job in no time. So as long as you focus on your skill set, that's all I'm trying to say, you'll be fine.
Yeah, quick question as this. Maybe this will motivate others, but I mean, I know you said it was recent, right? Like 2 months ago. What was like the time frame like between your job application or you had been already applying before the incident happened? Or
So for one of the job, I had already got the offer, right? I was just waiting for the background check to clear. So I was already at the last round of that job by the time I got laid off. So which is why, remember I told you guys last week, don't get a job and relax. Continue to look. I mean, what am I trying to say? Like, do 2 jobs if you can. What I care about is that you are doing your job. Do your best at your job. Do your best. And make sure you are always producing, right? Do your best, but don't remain loyal. Don't stay loyal to anyone. I understand this a long time ago. You guys may think I'm nice or this and that. I've been fired like 3 times in my career, right? So this will mark the 3rd time that I've been laid off from a job. So I still consider layoff fire. So when I say fired, I was laid off, but I still consider it fired, right? But I've learned from the 2nd time it happened that, you can't really put all your eggs in one basket. So if you have a skill, try to monetize your skills and do it in different ways, But main thing, one of the sure ways you can do it is when you start making money, tech money, right? Because it's a good field where you can make a good amount of money. The fastest way you can monetize that money before you get another one is try to invest it in the stock market. Typically, what I found is if you invest in like the top 7 companies in the US and you just buy shares in them consistently, you'll be fine. So you remember when I was telling you guys about index fund? This week, I end up changing, well, not like 2 weeks ago, sometime last month, I ended up changing my whole entire investment portfolio, right? I ended up switching from index funds to reallocating some of my shares to more of like a real company. So this is what my portfolio looks like now. These are the companies that I'm invested in. So I used to have most of my money in the index fund and I've since reallocated them to these companies. So as long as you buy a good reputable company that has good business practice, their fundamentals is good, you'll be fine. So that is one of the ways you can monetize your cloud money, because you will make a good amount of money there. And this is one of the ways. And another way is get another job. I'll say get another job. You know, if you are fortunate enough to have a remote job and you can do, because really, as long as you do your job efficiently and you deliver, really, you are a consultant. That's what they call you, right? So as a consultant, you should be able to consult with multiple people, but make sure whatever company you are getting a job with, you are not in some type of competition thing where they make you sign all those things. But if you have the room to get another job, like when I was working for Capital One, my shift was night shift because I was monitoring stuff, right? I did my other job during the day and I did my Capital One job at night. My Capital One job would be 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. And my other 9 to 5 job would be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I did that for like 2-3 years. So if you can work another job, get another job. But also, if you can also monetize your skills where you can share your knowledge and on social media and try to help other people, you can also monetize your skills that way. You can also work as a freelancer. There's a bunch of freelance sites where people may require someone to write a Terraform code for something or something relating to the cloud that you can do. But just don't put all your egg in one basket. That's what I'm saying. But the ultimate thing is build your skills. Focus on building your skills. And if you can do that, you'll be fine. Yeah. Yes, thanks, Shamika. Yeah, I'm having a boy. So I'm probably going to have him sitting next to me here. I'm probably going to try to teach him cloud when he's like 2 years old. So, but I'm excited.
I asked a question in the chat. Are you considering teaching Azure one day? That would be nice.
Yeah, I mentioned it the other day that a couple of weeks ago that I want to teach Azure. Like I want us to complete some of pretty much the projects we completed in AWS. I want us to complete it in Azure. I haven't had time to start working on it, but once I do, I'll be sharing it with you guys. But I'm not going to add it to the program. It will just be like kind of like the side project, just like we did the other ones. It'll be a side project that we'll work on. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you, Yasha.
One more question. As far as like diving down like deep into Kubernetes, like I see how advanced it can get. Do you suggest going outside of AWS, like
EKS?
Yeah, EKS and EKS. What do you suggest about that?
No, I'll say no. I mean, stick with the AWS EKS. Do your projects there. Understand what it is to understand there. If there's any room to add anything to an EKS cluster you've developed, do that. Because as kind of like what Ahmed said, when you start at most companies, they will lean more towards AWS managed resources, right? So I would say for me that at least that's where I know Kubernetes from, just from EKS. So I don't think most companies will go through the hassle of spinning up the open source Kubernetes and managing it that way, especially if they have an AWS environment and they are trying to integrate everything. AWS already has a Kubernetes service that they will manage for you. So why not just use that? So most companies will lean towards that. So I'll say if you have time, it doesn't hurt to learn. Like all these questions, they are all good ideas, right? I won't say you shouldn't learn it if there's a room to improve on your Kubernetes knowledge, learn it. But to start, I will focus more on the EKS service. Then if I have more room, then I can do something on regular Kubernetes open source.
Thanks, appreciate it.
No problem.
I think it doesn't really even make sense to worry yourself to just do regular Kubernetes. Doing the one on AWS, it's too much in itself already, because you deployed a cluster on AWS, and in a production environment, there are times you have to manage your nodes, you have to do upgrades and all that stuff. It's already too much work. So you don't want to add more to that by trying to deploy a control plane by yourself and manage all that. So it doesn't really.
Exactly. So with AWS, they will set up your control plane for you and pretty much most of your cluster, and you just focus on deploying your application in it. But doing the Kubernetes open source, you would have to set up your control plane, all the different configuration in it. I'm telling you, at work, you won't be doing that.
Yeah, it's a beast.
You won't be. Yes, you're not going to be doing that. So, and I get it. I understand what you're trying to do. You care about understanding as much as you can. And I did it too. I felt the same way too when I was learning. But yeah, Sean, another responsibility you also hold to yourself is making sure that you are learning the right things that helps you get towards your cloud goals, right? So and I've been working in the industry for close to 8 years now, right? I'm telling you, I've been on like at least 10 projects. Nobody is using Kubernetes open source and installing all that stuff, right? So what I'm trying to say is when you look at it, so you look at the time frame and the give and take for each one. Does it make sense for you to spend a lot of time on learning Kubernetes open source or just working on a Kubernetes project in AWS? I would say working on Kubernetes project in AWS would help towards your cloud goal than spending a lot of time on Kubernetes open source, because you may learn that and that's most likely not what you are going to do at work. So with that, you will just have a good understanding of Kubernetes and things like that, which would translate a little bit, but you will still have to learn EKS. So I would say just focus on EKS for now. And if you have time and you just want to dive into the Kubernetes open source from time to time, you can do that.
So with that being said, I was looking this weekend just at some of like a lot of the job descriptions in the DMV area, and I was starting to see Kubernetes, but I was also starting to see like Prometheus and Graphite and just all these other monitoring systems and stuff like that. And do you think that like after like completing the projects multiple times, you think that to expand out to them services is a good idea, or just okay. That makes sense.
Those are good ideas. So after you have worked on your cloud projects, like I said, those additional projects, things you want to learn. Yes, if the service like Grafana, Prometheus, all this, if they have like a platform that you can learn and you can register for free and have like some tutorials you can follow, yes, do that. I always encourage that. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. So make sure, yeah.
Talking about Kubernetes, I've been learning a lot of it recently, and I actually have a very good course on Udemy that I used. I used to be literally scared of Kubernetes, but I think after I took this course, like the way he explains things is very, very, very good. I can send that over to you.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, so please post it in in our Slack channel for the DevOps so everyone can
And also
access.
Code Cloud does a very good job at doing Kubernetes and Docker. Code Cloud is very, very good. Yeah. So one resource, yeah, you can use as well.
Hello, Alex. Can you try to rejoin again? I didn't see you in the. Oh, yeah, I see you now. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was hiding up there. Sorry, Alex. So what would you recommend with what the question Yashan was asking? Should you learn Kubernetes open source or should you learn Kubernetes from an EKS standpoint?
So this is how I'm actually learning it. So first, again, like I'll keep saying, understanding fundamentals. You know, what's a pod, what's a deployment, what's ingress, what's all of that. And I think, and this is even before touching EKS. And I think the way this course is structured, you don't even go into, I won't really say open source. It's open source, but you're not creating, like you're not building the cluster from scratch. You just use Minikube, which is like a Docker deployment of Kubernetes. It's very easy. It's just one command and you get a Kubernetes instance spun up, and then you learn. And I think the way his course is, there's like he pretty much teaches you everything. And like I said, you know, the Prometheus, the Grafana piece, he has everything in there. And after I actually finished that course, then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me actually try and deploy this on EKS. So it made it a lot easier because with EKS, like you don't even have to manage the control plane. That's one part, one selling point. You don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about is just writing your perfect YAML files and deploying it. So, and that's like what, as he said, you know, in the real world, you're not going to be working with, you know, open source Kubernetes where you have to back up things and the cluster and things. Like a lot of that is, or even just an upgrade in EKS is one button. You just have to click a button and it upgrades it for you. But open source, there's a lot of things you have to do that. So I'll take learn the fundamentals first. This course is brilliant for it. And then you can just attempt to deploy the same resources in this course in EKS. And I think you should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Cool. Thank you, guys. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap up for today? Okay. Well, thank you, guys. This was a good session. Remember, learning the fundamentals, focusing on your skills would take you a long way, would manifest into anything you've ever wanted, whether it's money or material things. Learning the skills and the fundamentals and building those is the main thing you should focus on. And I've always said, always keep this in mind. Making money is the byproduct of having the skills. It is not the other way around. People pay people a lot of money because they have the skills in what they are trying to get done. It is not them giving you money before you showing them you have the skills. So, which is why I always say learning, and focusing on your fundamentals. That's what's going to help you. But thank you, guys. This was a really good session. I definitely appreciate everything we discussed today. And I'll speak to you guys. Have a good weekend. Some of you throughout the week and some of you guys next weekend. So have a good weekend, guys. Wahab, so for all those links you sent, Mr. Henry is asking, can you just please put it in the Slack channel?
I'm trying to make sure it's sent properly because with Udemy, sometimes when you're logging and you send it, it doesn't take you to the post. It tries to force you to. Yeah. So, but I would send it. Yeah. I'll all the Kubernetes resources that I'm using right now, I'll send it. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.